I want you to imagine the year is 2012. Everyone is freaking out about the world ending. But in March of that year, you are graced with a marvelous teen dystopia, a movie adaptation of the famous Hunger Games. A cinematic masterpiece, if you ask me. Unbelievably so, the world did not end in 2012. And after the hit that the first movie was, we were given 3 more movies. The Hunger Games Catching Fire and The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. Year after year, we got to see and follow as the star-crossed lovers. Yes, I'm grouping Katniss and Peeta together. My man.
Sure. Okay, I'm fine.
Destroyed a whole ass tyranny, of course with the help of other people, duh, and managed to take down the mass exploitation that was going on in this fantasized world of what was to be or what was in Collins's head, the United States, if it were left to the 13 districts as it was quite back in time. To be honest, I would love to do a video on just the political and systematic structure of the so-called Panem because I find it very interesting and intriguing. But I also adore fashion, and let me tell you how much I enjoy looking at how the outfits, especially in the movies, but without the books, there are no movies, came all together and how they managed to fit in so much personality. To honor the newest movie, which is The Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which strays away from the original plot and goes back in time to commit a literal crime, which is to make us all fall in love with the young Cornelius Snow. Yeah, I think I can say this on part of anyone, that we've become a little bit Tom Blith obsessed. It's what it is. Like, okay. My Insta feed could not churn out more posts about him fast enough, about the whole movie. It became an instantaneous trend. And I saw so many people recreating the famous Lucy Gray dress. So there's a lot to unpack. This movie had the power to resurface all the previous Hunger Game movies, take them out of the dusty archives where they sat next to other classics like The Divergent or Maze Runner or whatever. None of them compare. I used to be a Divergent apologist, but anyway, let's get back to the Hunger Games. This literally reignited the previous fandom and more with the newer generations. It may be because I am a little bit of an obsessive person, but I have watched hours and hours of lore, of theories, of fan edits of these movies, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of the time I put in and dedicated to a franchise. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop there. With the wise words of Oscar Wilde, you can never be overdressed or overeducated. So I came here to bring you the fashion that was, the culture that it created once again of the newest movie, The Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. If you are interested, I am very much open and wanting and yearning to analyze the previous 3 movies, books, fashion, clothing as well. There's a lot, and this is why this is only this movie. So if you wish to see that, like this video, comment, subscribe so I know that you are interested. You would have thought that this movie being only a standalone had very few to do with clothes and fashion and costume design, but no. So, with all of this said, it is time that we go back in time and explore what is and what was Panem in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Catching Fire costume designer Trish Somerville returns once again, blessing our screens with outfits that are not only there for just show, but have deeper meaning and reflect the society of Panem, staying true to the respective personalities as well. I will start with the Capitol and the Academy. So already this new movie gives us this sort of high school feel, which we haven't really gotten in the previous movies. So we get to see a little bit more about how institutions function within this world of Panem. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes presents what is akin to a 1940s, 1950s feel of our world, post-war feeling and all. This is the time where the capital has not yet developed into the lavish consumer society that is in the movies following. And likewise, the mass control over the other districts is still in early development. Thus, we get to see a more lively side of District 12 as well. So, starting with the capital and the academy, the capital's colors and patterns are kept very simple and minimalistic, and are reflected in the grayish, bluish, reddish tones worn by the students in the reaping ceremony, more so in some of the scenes at the zoo where the residents of the capital are shown through the lenses of the tributes. Besides the vagueness of the clothes, which add a ubiquitous eeriness to the atmosphere of the movie, wealth is still an element which comes through in the type of materials the capital society wears. This is why it is so important to mention Koryo's outfit on the day of the reaping ceremony. In the movie, as well as the book, that shirt that Koryo wears on that day once belonged to his father and is revamped by his cousin Tigris due to the affluence lost by the Snow family. In the book, it is mentioned that everyday wear posed no issue as uniforms were provided by the school. Yet, on special occasions, the Snows had to try to blend in by repurposing and revamping old clothes. Although Koryo's outfit was very simple and sort of generic, it still stands out due to the interesting stripe detailing of his white shirt, which now is turned yellowish due to time passing. And this contrast can very well be seen if we look at the outfits worn by the other capital children on the same day, keeping to the natural tones. In this picture, the other two students seem to have dressed not only in more newer material, but also more according to the fashion that was at the time popular. So this is one of the original sketches of the first look that Koryo has. Without going very much into detail, which I have already talked about a little bit, what I enjoy about this outfit in general, what this clothing in this costume in general. Although whenever you think about costume, the first thing that comes to mind most of the time is the period drama costumes, due to the fact that this is still movies. We're still talking about cinematic fashion. I will keep on referring to these clothing arrangements as costumes. So we can already catch a glimpse at Snow's personality. Simplistic in nature, yet the white is starting to appear. We also have that rose pinned there by his grandmother due to the fact that she has a rose garden on the rooftop of their apartment that they are staying in. If you remember, the previous movies, you remember that Snow had a similar rose garden as well. Very interesting. Tigress's responsibility, which she had taken on gladly, as she had a keen eye for fashion, was to keep up the Snow family appearances. This and her feminine, almost innocent persona is reflected in this dress. The costume, according to Trish Somerville, was inspired by Lily Ann, a prominent fashion designer in the 1940s. The costume has the extreme peplum and the strong shoulders with a very narrow skirt. Stays true to that 40s feel and also combines the 40s 50s Balenciaga shoulder. It also pays homage to Effie from the original movies. Tigress's looks are not only fashion forward, but they also foreshadow her career as a future Panem designer. That her fashion and her designs will be a building block on which the future fashion scene of the capital rests on. She wears a lot of pink, which is connected to not only her feminine side and innocence, but also tries to bring a more optimistic side to the dull personality of the capital society. It's more so connected to her hopefulness of wanting to believe that the future will look somewhat different. She can be seen with her nightgown on, which in the book is mentioned that she wears it almost every time as a comfort. It's her late mother's nightgown and also it's pink, and she seems to wear it every time she is sad or distraught by any events in her life. We get to explore her personality and her life much more in the books as in the movies, so I definitely would recommend you read it just to get to know her a bit more and to understand her a bit more. Getting to the academy uniforms, which, as an interesting fact, for the sheer amount of costumes they had to make, the costuming team, used hundreds and hundreds of yards of fabric to make them. According to Somerville, the uniforms take on a more conservative, even, according to her, communistic style. Thus, the shape, as you can see, is loose and genderless, and everyone wears the same cut. At the time, just at the beginning of a new post-war era, this idea of being the same and conforming to this equality seemed to be a driving force of the fashion in the capital. The color red is a choice which was made to contrast, first of all, the grayish tones the academy has, this sort of coldness, but it also symbolizes the notion that the capital's children who attend the school are going to be the future bloodline driving forward the future of Panem. So it is heritage materialized. If there is one color that is at the center of the movie, that is red. Besides the myriad of uniforms, it appears on other characters as well, like Lucretius Flickerman on the first day of the Hunger Games, as well as Volumina Goal's famous scientist outfit. So all in all, we can suppose that red as a center color symbolizes bloodshed and pain. And also, a very interesting aspect, or more so a theory, take it as you will, in contrast to the deep dark red of Flickerman's suit, Goal's is an ombre of red, sort of symbolizing or maybe foreshadowing the future events in Koryo's life as he turns from innocent to the man he turns out to be. Coming back to Gaul, she, just like Tigress, is meant to be another fashion-forward character who sort of strays from the rules of fashion and is more outstanding in her clothing choices. But there are a few patterns that can be noticed. Her clothes reflect, once again, this new age avant-garde thinking that can be witnessed in the future. I managed to collect all the clothes that she is wearing throughout the movie. It's very interesting how, besides all of the characters, she being a side character but also very important and potent part in Cornelius's development as the future leader of Panem. We get to see her dressed in different costumes throughout the movie, and here you can see all of them put together. One aspect that I have noticed from the beginning is that she is almost covered from head to toe all the time. She is wearing gloves on her hands and her neck is also covered. The costume designer alludes to the fact that she must have a lot of scarring due to these experimentations, and that is why she covers them up. But I have a different idea. A lot of the time she has a ruffle collar, and as I said before, she wears gloves as if to shield her or accent the aplomb with which she carries herself. Her outfits, just as mercurial as her nature, often made up of peculiar patterns, exhibiting the puzzling ways in which she sees reality. Moving on to District 12 and the other districts. Although we don't get to see a lot of the other tributes in the movie, and the book doesn't even mention a few of them, the only way to get a glimpse at the tributes is at the reaping ceremony. And even then, a few of the kids who are not that important to the plot are left out. So yes, but I was able to screenshot some of them. District 1 being the jewelry and luxury items district. The first two of the kids seem to be wearing clothes that are very similar to the costumes worn by the capital children. And this is because they are the closest in status proximity to the capital, and this is why there's not much of a distinction between the fashion there and the fashion in the capital. District 2 being masonry and weapons manufacturing. I was trying to find some kind of connection with the tributes and the district, but there's not a lot, to be honest. So District 3 is not really shown, so I don't get to talk about it a lot. It's electronics, not much there. So then we have District 4 fishing, for which we have Coral. The only thing is her name that sort of like ties it all together. But her outfit, sort of wearing that marine striped shirt, can sort of be reminiscent of the district's major theme. District 5 and District 6 is sort of left as a blank. So moving on to District 7, we have lumber, we have treach, very much dressed in this sort of wood cutting ensemble. District 8, textiles, which I would say it's mostly connected. Bobby and Bowie, yeah, the names. And also their clothes. You can see a lot of pins and buckles and sort of these little details which allude to what kind of districts they're from. District 9, nothing there. District 10, we have livestock. And then we have District 11, agriculture. And we only have Reaper there. And then moving on to District 12, which is coal mining. Of course, we see a lot of miners' outfits, but some of the classical, like rock and roll time period style outfits as well. But let's talk about Lucy Gray's famous outfit, because it has become quite of a sensation once the movie came out. As I said previously, there was so much going on, so many people recreating her corset and everything, but what is it that makes it so interesting? It's the coloring, it's the way the outfit is made, so much to talk about. And this is why I kind of left this to the last part, because I wanted to get the other districts out of the way so I can talk about her outfit in more detail. So the outfit is a lineage heritage piece that had been passed down through Lucy Gray's family. It was her mother's. This is why it couldn't be entirely new, and that is why coloring is a little bit faded. There's some yellowish tones here and there. So when we're talking about the material, the costume designer came up with the idea of foil because it has some stretch. It helped the actress give a little bit more room for her to do her stunts, also hide some of the pads which they put on her to safeguard her. And another interesting thing is that they made 10 plus versions to this dress to make sure that with all the stunt performances, it was kept in its original state. On the top layer, it was tolle made into hand-cut ruffles, and they were sheared. And the corset and all the other hand painting was done in Berlin. So another little Easter egg, the corset shape that Lucy Gray wears is the same shaped corset as Katniss wore in her blue Mockingjay dress, which she spins and the wings come out. The hand painting on Lucy's corset, they did snakes, of course, for the theme of the movie and the books, but also representing her kinship with snakes as well. And another tie or nod to the first 3 books was painting Katniss and primrose flowers on the corset. And we cannot talk about Lucy Gray without talking about the covey, which is briefly shown in the movies, but I managed to take a screenshot of them. The covey, I would say, is very much new age hippie adjacent, which I enjoy a lot. Very flowy, a lot of embroidery, a lot of color, which we cannot really see in the other districts or even in the capital. So once again, they sort of allude to their uniqueness and the fact that they are sort of districtless, as Lucy Gray says it in the beginning as well. Quite restricted at the waist, but very flowy in other parts. So, all in all, thinking that a movie like this without outlandish fashion would not be worth an analysis is a stupid idea. Because even now, you can see how much depth each character has just if we look at the clothes they wear. The intention with which their personalities are constructed through fashion is very prominent, and it gives us more understanding over a character's personality, why they are in a situation that they're in. Clothes reflect not only our wealth in society, but also the way we show up in it and what we make with what we have. So thank you so much for being here and going through this analysis with me. I hope you enjoyed. And once again, if you want a continuation of this, just like this video or tell me down in the comments below so I will know that you are interested in it. It really helps me plan my future content. And don't forget to subscribe to become a part of this community. There is a big road ahead, but an interesting road at the least. So wish you all the best and see you in my next one. Bye bye.